Well, hi everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and today we are going to have a really fun time. We're going to be learning how to make tea lights. And what I've got here is just a couple of things to show you. What I find, I don't know if you find this as well, but some of my candles do this to me, so the actual wax level is down here. Now, it's quite pretty when the candle is flickering inside here, but every now and then I get fed up and I want to clean it off. So what I do is I cut the top off, and I'm going to show you how I turn that into tea lights. So this is all about saving money and being prepared. We're sort of just about to go into the run up to winter. So I start thinking about things like this about this time of the year. Before I do want to say that I'm wearing my painting clothes because anything to do with candles, is messy. And so what I really recommend is if you've got a nice countertop like this, I do recommend that you cover it. Thank you, Amazon. And what I've got here, hang on a second. And you'll see why when we finish this, just how much wax gets onto here. So that's one thing I would really recommend. The other thing is I collect all my old candle wax and I just keep it in a bag. Hang on 1 second. Whenever I've got old candles or whatever, I keep it in a bag and then I just keep crunching it up. And as you can see, if I keep crunching it up, then the bottom becomes, shredded. So it's very easy to work with. And what I've done is while we're working here, I've just got some of that wax melting down in a rice cooker. So all I've got, make sure that whatever container you use is one that you can keep for doing that. That's what I find the best thing is. So the reason is that it's a big job to clean up something that's got wax all over it. Believe you me, seriously. So literally, it's going to be very easy to do. And we'll just wait for the wax to finish melting. It's sort of starting, but now I'm going to up the heat a bit and let it do that while we carry on with the housekeeping things. One of the things I wanted to say about today is this is not the right way to do it. I always say this to you, right? This is not about the right way to do it. This is about my way. And as you all know, I've got a peculiar way of doing everything. So if I'm making mistakes for the purists, so be it. It works for me, and that's what I want to share with my viewers. So remember, cover your countertops, wear the right clothes. I keep my old tea lights. I know that sounds insane, but I actually do keep those as well. So hang on, let me get my tools up here. So I will, as they finish, I will hold on to these. Now, if you happen to be near a store that sells them, obviously get yourself some wicks, but I also want to talk to you about what to do if you haven't got wicks. The other thing is you very rarely will have exactly the right amount of wax for the tea lights. You probably have some left over. So have a container that you can put the remainder of it in. And this is pretty, tough plastic. I love keeping the tops off my, hairsprays and stuff like that. They're always very useful little containers. And so that's what I use that for. And put this away for a second. I literally cut the top of the candle just with using a bread knife, just so that you know. I've also got here a canning tongs thing so that I can, when this heats up, I can get it out easily without, if you don't have one of these, any sort of oven glove that you can pick up something that gets pretty hot would be good. I actually buy extra wick stuff about once a year, less than that. This lasts me a long time. And as you're going to see, I will use this wick to do all the tea lights that I've got the one wick. So that's going to be good. Not sure why I have that one, but we'll leave that there. Oh, and this is how you buy the wicks if you happen to be, you'll probably find them even in, I think you'll even find them in somewhere like Walmart or something if you go to that section where they have those sort of craft things. Now, the other thing that's really useful is a bamboo stick. And as you can see, I keep this bamboo stick. It's covered in wax, right? So I don't throw that away. All right, so that's our tools. This I will clean after I've done this demonstration. But, you know, I did some tea lights the other day, a couple of weeks ago, which made me think I should really share it with you. And I decided I'm not going to clean that up because I'm going to do a video about this. All right, so there we go. In the meantime, let's do some updates on this. Oh, there is one other thing I recommend. Eat baby bell cheese. Now, it's not like me to do advertising, but there's a reason for this, which I'm going to show you. All right, so if you happen to be new to the broadcast, welcome. We at DearMamaSal are a group of people who get together 3 times a week, and we talk about love life and other problems. And we're always looking for a Friday lunchtime. The broadcast we do is all about increasing our skill level, you know, teaching us how to save money or how to make things or do whatever that makes our life easier. We also support one another with whatever it is that we're trying to achieve, as you are going to hear during the course of this broadcast, because while I'm doing this, I'm also going to carry on with the regular part of the broadcast. And so if you're watching for the first time, welcome. Join in if you want to. Just remember, though, that anything that you might type up, I will probably talk about, and that it will stay on the replay of the video. Just think about that. YouTube's, you know, the video stays up on YouTube. So just be aware of that. And if I think it's something that you might not have remembered, and I think it might be too personal, I will probably check in with you just to do it. And I do it even with my regular viewers every now and then when I see something that I think is maybe too personal. So just hello to Jody, Charlotte, Sandy, Sharon. Good to see you all. And I hope that you're all having a great week. And I hope you enjoy this particular skills thing. You know, when I think about doing these, the subjects are always, you know, interesting to me. I'm inclined to go with what, you know, I get driven to do. And I'm thinking, well, if I do this, maybe other people would like to do it as well. But if you have a topic that you'd like me to try or to talk about or whatever, please let me know at dearmamasal@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the little bell thing. And when it says to you, you know, do you want all the notifications? The answer to that would be yes, because what that does is it actually makes sure that if I do an extra broadcast, you're going to know about it. All right, so having said that, let me carry on here. I found that I really did not like throwing away old wax. I don't know about you guys. And what do you do with your old wax? There's part of me that goes, I am considering, you know, if you happen to have old material that you want to do things with, I was wondering whether we should do an experiment to see if we could make wax coverings. Do you know what I mean? Cotton with wax on it so that they make food wraps. And if you'd like me to try that, I've never done it, but if you'd like me to try it, just let me know. I'm prepared to give that a go. And just so that we're aware, if you follow me on Facebook or on Instagram or whatever, it's all DearMamaSal, except for Instagram. Instagram is the only one that it's actually the real Dear Mama Sal, because when I went to go and register Dear Mama Sal on Instagram, somebody stole my name. They'd already stolen it. I don't know why. I didn't think I would ever use Instagram, and I was wrong. And by the time I realized that was wrong, it was too late, people. And I did contact the person who took it and ask them if they'd like to give it back to me, but so such is life. So the real Dear Mama Sal on Instagram. I thought we should just take a moment to acknowledge the fact, while we're waiting for the wax to warm up, to acknowledge the fact that it is Juneteenth today. Now, for some of you, you may not know what Juneteenth is. It's also known as Freedom Day or Jubilee Day and Liberation Day for some people. And I'm quoting here, it's the unofficial American holiday and the official Texas state holiday celebrated on the 19th of June in the United States to commemorate Union Army General Gordon Granger's reading of the orders in the city of Galveston to proclaiming that all slaves in Texas were now free. So it's a monumental day. There's no doubt about it. And so I think that is a pretty good thing for us to remember what Juneteenth is. I don't know about you, but you see it come up and you go, what's Juneteenth? Or, especially for those who might be from overseas. And I'm in Canada. So I thought I would explain it for those people who might be seeing it on the news and going, what's Juneteenth? Because, it keeps coming up as a word. I'd also like to give a quick reminder that it's Father's Day in North America on Sunday. And to be aware, really aware, for those people who maybe lost their father this year. As you know, I have somebody in my immediate circle that lost their father this year, and we have somebody in the Dear Mama Sal circle that lost their father this year. So, please be aware that Father's Day is not a happy day for everybody. So some people, it's quite sad. And also remember that not everybody had a great father. So whilst we will celebrate it as a day, because we do know that an awful lot of people, really do celebrate it, and that's wonderful. But I just want to make sure we see both sides of that. So if some people don't look quite excited about it as others, you'll probably know that they don't have the greatest experience in their lives. All right, so let's get on with this. The Black Lives Matter quote that I liked this in the last couple of weeks, and by the way, I apologize for having to cancel last week's skills broadcast. It would have been this. But I really was not well, and that's what happened. Let's see how this is doing. The quote that I like, though, is, there we go. You see it's starting to melt quite nicely. And by the way, I've got mostly white, but there's a little bit of pink in there and a little bit of blue, so it'll be an interesting color when it's finished. I saw this incredible quote, and it said that that we as white people need to be grateful that what Black people are looking for is equality, not revenge. And I was saying this with Marnie this week, as well. I also like to say that, boy, imagine if women got up and asked for the same sort of equality and reparation, for what has happened to us. That would be quite something, wouldn't it? If you think about all the things that we've been through, that really people didn't really care about quite so much. But it's changing, and we're happy about that. Okay, so here we go. So what we need is, for tools, we need some old wax. And as I said, I recommend you just throw your old candles and stuff into one bag, and then about once a year, have fun. And once a year, because it is really messy. The other thing I do is, when I do this, and I will do it one more time, obviously to get rid of what I've got here, all you do is literally start by cutting off the top of a candle. And I just literally go around it like this. And you see this now. Let me move this slightly. Yeah. I just go all the way around the candle like this. And as you start to get around, look at that, it just falls right off. And then I just break that up a bit. Okay, and then I will just drop that into the bag. Ready for the next time I do candles. Now, as you can already see, that's pretty messy. So we're going to scrape what we can off there, and I find my red scraper is very useful for doing this because it's got like a little doodad here, so you can just scrape onto it and collect it. Okay, so now I've got it all collected in there. I'm just going to put it in the bag. All right, so, but even so, you can see how messy it is. And if that's on, if you're dealing with some waxes that are colored, you don't want it staining your countertop or staining anything else. All right, so there we go. So now let's see how our wax is doing. And really, it's just a case of, there we go, of putting the wax into hot water until it melts. And now what I'm going to do is just pour that into, this should be interesting, people. Because I normally do this a different way. There we go. Oh. Thought it was all done, but it isn't. Story of my life. But I can still show you in principle. So now I've got the molten wax in here, and I literally just pour it into tea lights. And what I'm going to do is just melt a little bit more while we talk. Oh, put it in the wrong thing. Okay. All right, so now I've got it on my hand. But I want to show you what this is all about. If you happen to have, the proper wicks, then obviously you can just drop it in. And it's quite normal as wax dries for it to suck into the center. And if you are a purist and don't like that, for example, when I did these are soy wax. When I did these, they really, sucked into the center, and I just melted a little bit more of the blue and I just dropped it in the center there. So, you can do that. It's not a problem at all. So we'll just do the first one, let that go, and then we'll top it up with the molten wax a bit later. So as you can see, it's a really pretty easy thing to do. But how much mess have I made? Wicks. I want to talk to you about wicks. And also, I want to show you one other thing. When I have melt a lot of wax, I actually find a container or a shape that I like. And I make extra ones like this. I put a bit of fragrance in them, just a couple of drops of fragrance, and then I will put them in a bracket, with a tea light underneath it to melt this wax, and that makes a really nice aroma in a room. And as you can see, they're different shapes and sizes, but basically it's just using up old wax. The other thing I wanted to tell you was that I've done experiments on what do you do if you don't have wicks in the house. I've tried with toothpicks. I was doing some extra experiments for you this week. I've tried with toothpicks and everything else. But what I found worked best is actually, if you've got any popsicle sticks, don't throw them away. And what I did was I literally just cut up the popsicle sticks. If I could get one out of there, it would help. Hang on a second, there we go. And made mini wicks out of popsicle sticks. Can you see that? Ooh. Okay, that went in my coffee. Actually, it went in the bottom of my coffee. Big oops. It's now not in my coffee anymore. There we go. Come back again. As I was saying, this works really well. Okay, now the other thing that I wanted to say to you is that if you happen to be a cheese eater and you eat any of the Dutch cheeses with the red wax around them, I would recommend that you keep them. I actually take the wax. I know you're all shaking your heads, but never mind. I take the wax and just make little leaves of it, and I put it. A second. I just literally make little leaves of it, and then I will put it around a candle that I'm about to burn. And you end up with a red candle. So just, it's all about saving money and reusing, and wherever we can. And when you think about it, there we have a candle, almost an everlasting candle at the rate at which come on. So just going to let that burn there so you can see I'm not cheating on you. And you will see that the red wax will melt down into the center. Okay, let's see how we're doing with our other wax here. Pretty good. And so we'll just top up the next one a little bit. We're nearly there. Now what I want to show you is how I put a wick in if I don't have one of those special wicks, and I want to show you how to do that. Are there any questions so far? By the way, you can just carve the top of this and make it nice and neat. And what I've also found, is a good idea is if you are really a purist, just literally take a hairdryer and then just melt the wax around the edge, and it'll make it all run, and then it'll be pretty again. So now we're ready. So these are all pre-made discs that I've got. And obviously, if you happen to, save the little doodads at the bottom of tea lights, a really good idea. Hi, Erin, good to see you. And so that is really how simple it is. And I'm going to carry on talking while I wait for these to firm up a bit, and then I am going to show you the last bit. Okay, so a couple of tips for the week. First of all, if there are any questions about what I've just done, just type them up so I can answer them. And if you have any on the replay, just leave them in the comments below and we can discuss them. A couple of tips that I've found. As some of you know, I am pre-diabetic and I'm trying to learn how to eat better. But on the other hand, I still like, carby foods. And so what I decided, I think those of you who know me well, I have a sort of mantra, which is don't tell me what I can't do, tell me what I can. And, it's the rebel in me. I don't want to hear what I can't do. But I am constantly looking for what I can do instead, all right? And so what I found out was that if I take, hold on 1 second, let me get that out for you so you can see. I now take a muffin mix, and this one happens to be a carrot one, and I do oats or carrots or whatever. And then what I do is I cut it in. In other words, I will do half a jar of the carrot mix and half a jar of almond flour, which is not bad for you. And then I just shake it all up. And I put in, to be fair, let me think about that. One more thing. Yeah. Because almond flour is pretty dense when it cooks, I put in a little bit of egg replacer in there, or you can put in, when you go to mix it up, you can put in another egg. But that's what I do. And then I just shake it all up. And then I make my muffins just by putting this into, let me just get that so I can make sure you know the sizes I'm talking about. I just put it in, I've got ramekins this size, and they're about 1.5 cups. And I just put it into here, and I will add raisins or sultanas or cranberries or whatever I feel like having. Mix it all up with a little bit of water, and then throw some nuts on top. And I've got a pretty healthy muffin that's half as dangerous for me as usual. Hi, Kerry, good to see you. And so that is just a little tip for those of you who are trying to control your sugar spikes or your glucose spikes. One way to do muffins, and Jody will tell you, I have 2 a night, and I actually put icing on top of them for people. Frosting. I put cream cheese frosting on them, and my blood sugar, I can keep it down by doing that. It's amazing. So I'm always looking for what can I do rather than what I can't do, right? So that I thought I'd share that. The other little tip I wanted to give you, for those of you who are trying to get more steps in a day, I know this sounds insanely simple, but it actually works. I moved my recycling bin out of my kitchen and put it in the spare room. Why? Because I found out I actually do have quite a lot of recycling in my life. What about you guys? And so what I find is when I want to throw something into the recycling, I need to walk an extra 10, 15 steps to get to the recycling bin, which is now in a different room, and back again. So that's like 30 extra steps. Now, you'd be surprised how many times a day I do those 30 extra steps. I can assure you it's more than 10, and therefore I'm putting on an extra 300 steps a day. How many of you are going, that's actually not such a bad idea? I still keep my kitchen garbage, in my kitchen. But my recycling, I put in another room. I also have sort of what I call 3 different bins, right? I don't quite know what to do with it, and I don't want it in my house type garbage in a sealed bin underneath my sink, obviously, because I keep pointing there. I have regular garbage. Let me just get something for you, because I want to just show you something. And I want to just share that with you so that you know as well. Whenever I get a fairly decent sized bag like this, I will keep it, and then I will put other plastics inside it. Does that make sense? So I literally will put other plastics inside it. You will be amazed how much of your garbage today is just plastic. And the reason I say that is when I go to throw out my garbage every 2 weeks, this alone is the major part of what I throw out. And I really would recommend that you all try that. You'll be quite surprised how much, you remember we did about a year ago, we did that incredible session on recycling. Put the baby doll away. And yeah, it is amazing how little garbage I throw away, except for when I am still doing I'm still unpacking, so I'm throwing that sort of garbage away. Okay, and there we go. Just going to disconnect this. Oh no, let's pour first, and then we'll disconnect it. Wow, that could not have been more perfect, Sal. You are a star. Okay, I'm just going to disconnect this. Yep. All right, so there's still quite a lot of wax left in here. So what I'm going to do is to put that in here, and when that is all melted, I will then throw it in here until it's solidified. So this second one we did has now firmed up a little bit. And the reason that I keep this bamboo stick is I then just poke a hole in the center. You see that? And then what I do is I will take another little bit of the wick and I will put it in the center here. And quite honestly, the wax is still, although it's hardening, it's not hard yet. So I can literally just manipulate the wax into the center there, and it will be pretty good up close to the wick. Get the idea? And then I've got this one ready to go in here. Good. So, okay, bye, Nasha. So, any questions? No? Was that pretty easy? For those of you who have been following my gardening stuff, in the inside gardening, I actually have raised that up a bit so I can use the lower level to just dry things on if I want to. But I've actually found a really nice unit that I saw on Wish, and I'm going to put it there. It's a stainless steel one that I'm going to put up ready for the winter. So it'll have 3 levels on it, which is great. And just to let you know, for those of you who've been following, both Tommy the tomato and Peter the pepper have now been planted. And the future videos you will see on those two is when they're growing outside, not inside. I just decided, really they are growing so nicely and it's time. Okay, so Jody's saying that was, about the candle. It was easy, practical, and I like the baby bell trick. Well, yes, it's just if you happen to eat them, it is a very interesting way to make red candles. What I haven't done yet is I haven't done a candle that is just baby bells, so I probably will try that. Okay, not going on anymore. So this one is beginning to harden up, but we'll have to wait a little bit more. Okay, good. Let's carry on. The other thing I wanted to let you know in terms of gardening was I did get to eat the first of my strawberries. I think I had 2. Yeah, I did know, Nyasha. I saw it. So I had 2 of my first strawberries. So I was very excited about that this week. Yeah, I thought I said goodbye. Yeah, thanks, Jody. So what I wanted to say to you all was that there's something about eating a strawberry that you have grown that is so tasty, right? I don't know if you agree with me, but it's sort of like a whole different level when you're actually eating stuff that you have grown yourself. I'm just trying to get this sorted out so I can be more comfortable. I don't want to be at that angle. Yeah. Okay, so you see I write messages to myself. By the way, if you have a surface like this, it's a really good idea. I use removable tape to remind myself what I need to plant next. All right, so what is this one? I don't know what this one says even. There's not much point in putting it up anyway. Well, I'm glad that you can see how easy it is to do. And as I said, I don't do it every day. I mean, I don't do it every week. I normally do it maybe once a year because it is messy. And it's going to take me a lot of work with my blow dryer to get the wax out of here. But what I probably will do, I like to do it in the summer because I cheat. What I will do is I will now put these in the hot sun, and that'll do most of the work. Over the course of a couple of days, it'll melt all the wax. So that'll make it easy. You know me, I like to cheat. Why would I work hard when God can do it for me? Just my stuff. So I really want to say that the strawberries were awesome, and I've got more that are about to ripen. So that is really great. The other thing is I have a load of achievements. How are you guys doing this week? Did any of you have any achievements for the week? And if so, start typing them. I would like you to keep notes on that, by the way. Just during the week, keep notes of what you have achieved so that you will be able to see how you're doing. Kerry, we'd be delighted to do that. I think you can just sign back in again. I can't remember removing you. Kerry's asking if she can rejoin the fitness group. We have a little Facebook group of people who are trying to work on their fitness. I don't believe I'll ask Jody to do a follow-up with me afterwards so that I can check it for you, Kerry. But it's great to see you, and it's great to hear that you want to rejoin the fitness group. I assure you, I'm on a long path on mine, that is for sure. But the main thing is I am still heading in the right direction again. For a moment, with that COVID-19 thing, I started to go back up again, but now I have started to go way down again. I thought I'd like to share with you that we did reach 1.4 million views. Can you believe it? It was just like we hit 1.4 million. And I thought that was pretty amazing. And I also want to say that for those of you who remember the windshield wiper video that I did, it is still among the top videos. I don't think it is the top of my videos, but I could be wrong. But anyway, that thing alone has got over 250,000 views. Who would have thunk it, right? It was a video I did because my windshield wipers were making a noise and I was trying to find out how to cure them. So it's had 256.6 thousand views. 250,000 views. Amazing. Now I know what you're all thinking. Sal must be coining it. I just want to make sure that you all are aware that, because I don't promote products or do all the other things that people do, for money, I really don't. I think if I sort of make $1,000 a month out of it all. It's a lot. And by the way, I spend more than that. By the time I do all the, you know, the stuff that creates Dear Mama Sal, it's more than that. So, I've got an expensive hobby. The other thing I did this week was that I decided that now that I went out, that I will be able to start doing the word of the day again. And so I've started to edit in a different way. One of the difficult things I have with editing is it takes a long time. And what I decided was, now that I've got the standing desk here in the kitchen, that I can be doing little bits of editing during the day, not sitting down for 4 hours nonstop, but I can actually do a little bit of editing here and there during the day, and it will add up to a video. So I'm going to try doing that to see if it takes the stress of trying to edit, a full video at one time. And then, it can upload and do whatever while I'm cooking, or, understand, I'm trying to multitask the editing. For those of you who know that I had, oh, wow, Kerry's saying, enjoy those strawberries. She says, I'm very allergic and my tongue swells and my throat swells. Yeah, that's nasty. It's, for you it's strawberries, for me it's garlic. Isn't it funny? We all have these little things in life that we don't get to enjoy because we love it, but our body doesn't. Yeah. It is what it is, right? For those of you who may or may not have seen the videos that I did edit this week, I did get out and I managed to get 2 things off my to-do list that have been on there a long time. And number 1 was to get that rose off to Yvonne, because I wanted to make sure she had a rose that would look gorgeous for her on Father's Day. As I said earlier, we don't all have happy Father's Day memories, but for Yvonne, we know, and like Erin as well, this is going to be the most difficult Father's Day. Wow, it's interesting. Erin's saying she's allergic to free and clear laundry detergent. Wow, yeah, so we never know, right? We never know what it is. And by the way, I was fine with garlic until I hit the change of life thing. And for some reason, when my hormones changed, so did my tolerance for garlic. Now, it looks like I'm freezing a bit on this side, so if it happens on your side, don't worry, it's okay. So I found the other thing that I got a box off to June. I'm pretty sure that baby Elle will be joining us in the real world, in the next week. That's my feeling anyway. And so I thought I have to go out and mail this box to them. So I've just got a couple of presents for them and for the children, obviously. So I got that all done. And to do that, it was really funny. One of the things I found is we all have a good reason for procrastinating. I wrote a really a massive management type seminar about the power of positive procrastination. But what I wanted to show people was there is a really good reason why you procrastinate. It is our job to. Do any of you procrastinate, by the way? It's just me. So this is another thing under skills, all right, is if you know that you always have a good reason for procrastinating. It's not that you're lazy. It's not that you are stupid or whatever. What you need to do is to find out what your subconscious is not happy about. And that is why you are procrastinating. To give you an idea, I, as you know, have procrastinated about sending Judy's parcel. And it was really strange because I'm going, why? Well, one of them was, it means I have to go out and go into the real world and go to a post office. I've been in lockdown since early March. So that wasn't a very nice thought for me. The other thing was I needed to print a label. And guess what? My one printer decided to have a little cow, and that meant that I needed to install my second printer. Well, I've done that now. So, so as soon as I got the second printer all, set up, it was very easy to print the label. And guess what? That encouraged me to go and send the parcel. So that was, I look at things and I go, you've got a good reason. Now, some of you remember that I have been procrastinating about investing the money from the sale of my house, whatever's left over from between the sale and buying this one. And this is really glitchy here on my side, people. So if it's glitchy on your side, I apologize. I cannot control the the stream. So what I found, though, was that if I really get in touch with, there is a good reason. So first of all, I was feeling guilty that money was not collecting money. And then I realized part of my fear was with the economy and with the world doing what it's doing around the pandemic, where do you put money today? It's like I really didn't know. So I spoke to a couple of people who are good with money, and they didn't know either. So I went, oh, it's not that I'm being stupid, right? And then I realized there were a couple of other issues. I have two people in my life that I want to be able to help. And what I found was that part of the reason I was procrastinating was I needed to be sure that if they needed the money, I could get to it in a hurry. So I couldn't lock it up too tightly. Now, the good news is, you'll be pleased to know, I took some major steps in terms of putting that money into good use. And I was really quite proud of myself because, that's something over which I had a lot of fear. And I've literally been processing it. Jody, am I allowed to tell your story? And while I'm waiting for Jody to give me the okay on that, I want to tell you about my score of the week. I saw a microscope that I wanted advertised, and it was a really nice price. And I went to actually buy it. It's a microscope that you can actually plug into your phone. And I went to go buy it, and for some reason, the credit card information didn't work. Now, I happen to have a credit balance in my credit card at the moment by accident. And so I knew it wasn't that I didn't have the money in there. So, and it kept saying, contact your provider. And I'm thinking, I hope this isn't a scam. Anyway, the interesting thing was that when I checked with the bank, now there wasn't a problem. And so then I thought, wait a minute, maybe there's a reason why it didn't go through. See, I think like that. And so I went, let me have a look at Wish and see if they happen to have the same microscope. And it was an amazing difference, right? The microscope on Facebook that was being advertised on Facebook was $50, $60, I think. And I found it on Wish for 15. Means I got to wait a couple of months, but do I care? No, I've waited a lifetime to get it, so I don't mind another couple of months. So I thought that was a pretty good score. What about you guys? Yeah, talking back on Father's Day, Kerry's also saying she doesn't have a great experience on Father's Day either. And so, that's why I wanted to make sure that you all are aware. I wanted to let you know what happened to Lionel this week. As you know, that Lionel is Jody's husband. And for those of you who don't know who Jody is our admin. Thanks for all that you do, Jody. It's amazing. But he was walking their little fluff ball, and a pit bull came to attack the fluff ball. And so Lionel picked up the fluff ball and held it above his head. And the pit bull came up and attacked Lionel's arm. Now, the owner heard it go down and came and called the dog away. Am I correct on that, Jody? Just correct me where I get this wrong. But in the meantime, didn't say anything like, I'm sorry, send me, here's my information, send me the bills. He just walked away. And, I spoke to Jody about this and said, make sure you report it, make sure, So they made sure the police knew about it, that animal control knew about it, and everybody's trying to help them find this person. But the thing is this, that little scary moment, and it wasn't little, has racked up bills of over $5,000. Yeah, so Jody's confirming that the owner came out to get the dog and yes, then just walked away. Yeah. So if you can imagine this, they're on the hook now for $5,000 that they obviously don't have. And I'm certain that you're all thinking that's not fair. No, it isn't. And so now what I am encouraging Jody and Lionel to do is not to concentrate on the unfairness of it, but rather to work on what they can do. And what I am saying is that I believe the property from which this dog came. I'm really having a problem with that bit of hair today, aren't I? Anyway, so they know the property, and therefore, even if that person there is a renter, the owner must know who he is. All right? Hi, Jeannie, good to see you. So the owner must know who he is, right? And so there is a way of tracking and finding out who it is. It's just going to take a bit of time. And the other thing is to get that into small claims court as soon as you get the name. Now, the chances are that the person that owned the dog doesn't have that money either, right? That's a very, very logical reality. But the main thing is, the reason to take it to small claims court is to make sure that the court has said it's not for them to pay the bill. Do you understand my logic here? So if you can say, no, the court has ordered us not to pay it, but this other person must pay the bill, then they're off the hook for paying it. Does that make sense to everybody? Which is why I'm encouraging them to get it on the docket in the small claims court. I'm just not sure how much. I'm pretty sure that small claims in the US is probably under 10,000, but just make sure of that fact. Yes, easy, it's one telephone call. Or even, contact Mr. Google, he'll probably tell you. So very important. But life is not fair, all right? So that is one of the things that my whole thing this week is to support Jody, because Jody is supporting Lionel. And, it's like when Jody is busy trying to help Lionel, then obviously I need to help fill that vacuum to help Jody. Now, the other thing is, Jody, I'm not surprised that your pain level has shot up as a result of this, all right? Because both you and Lionel had shock, fear, panic, all those things that go around something like this, human nature stuff. It's the same with Jeannie, all right? I'm pretty certain whatever aches and pains are in Jeannie's life, that after the fire that devastated their home, once the adrenaline had calmed down, that they probably felt those aches and pains more than usual for the same reason. And by the way, I'm pleased to let you know that Jeannie was telling me that they did get the first insurance check. Well done, Jeannie. I'm very pleased to hear that. And they're basically going to have to rebuild their whole house. Will they just tear it down? Jeannie, perhaps you can let us know. I did put up some photos that Jeannie allowed me to put up, but it's just like horrifying, when you see it. You just go, wow, just one freak accident and the whole house went. Makes you really aware of how fleeting things can be. And so I had another bit of a scare this week. I mean, the Lionel and Jody thing was pretty scary. Even for me, to think that somebody that I knew was going through that was pretty scary for me. So I was being pretty kind to myself on my side as well. And I found that what I did was I spent less time dealing with what I call trivial stuff, right? Stuff that normally I would have spent a lot of time helping people with, I didn't spend a lot of time. Why? I knew where my priorities were and I needed more time to deal with that. So it is important that you are aware that you only have so much to give. And I said to Jody, it's really important that I find it interesting that, we had to cancel a day of broadcasts. And then, all this happened where Jody wouldn't have had time to, put together the funnies for tonight's broadcast or whatever. Everything, it's amazing how it all comes into play, right? Like the one thing was almost a premonition of what was to come. Jody's saying small claims court in New Hampshire is 10,000. That's what I thought, yeah. So it looks like we'll be just under per the hospital billing. Wow, isn't that amazing? For just a dog bite, $10,000. There's something radically wrong with that, in my view. I'm really sorry. Now, Jody, I don't mean to make you angry, but I just want to tell you the reality. You do understand that if I had had that happen in Canada, how much I would be paid. And I think that is the whole thing about the Canadian health system. Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to say was that I had a peculiar thing happen. I wasn't very well this week. And I had a couple of days where my blood sugar plummeted. it would be up in the morning, and then by the nighttime it had plummeted. It was and a little bit scary plummeted. And we're still not quite sure what the reason for it is. And I'm going to do a bit more research now that the other problems are out of the way as to what could cause that. Okay, so Jeannie is giving us some feedback. She's saying about the fire. First, there is the cleanup, then the demolition, then rebuilding. Okay, so they give you time to get in there and get out whatever you can be saved, all right? And she's saying they found some good rugs that may be saved. Oh, that's awesome. So and I know that you've managed to find some things that are important to you that you've been able to save. So it is important that you found that. Going back to the blood sugar, I will be talking to my doctor this week, and I will discuss it with him as well, just so he knows. So if any of you have any knowledge of what would cause a dip like that, from what I could work out, I wasn't very well to start with. And I think that also affects your blood sugar. All right, so Jeannie's updating here. She said, we hired a company that cleans up after a fire. Okay, so they will pick through everything before the demolition to make sure that they've saved whatever is possible. Is that right? They clean rugs, linens, clothing. Yes, I've been in a fire, so I know how long that can take. I think from the smoke damage to some of my clothes, they had to clean them 3 or 4 times. You know, the things that were had to be dry cleaned. I think they had to clean them 3 or 4 times before they could get that smoke smell. Just permeates everything. It's amazing. So I don't have a scam of the week. Does anybody? All right, now then, I had a couple of mistakes for the week. When I went out for my little visit out this week, I took a bottle of iced milk. I have found my new thing to do is to actually take a cup of milk, load it up with ice, a little bit of powdered vanilla. Thank you for telling me about that one, Jody. And then I shake it all up, and then I've got a really nice drink to take during the day. I probably have 2 or 3 of those during the day. And anyway, I took one bottle with me when I went out shopping, and I forgot that I had it until I went to take stuff out of the car. And then I found that that bottle had tipped over. And even though it was a carry bottle, I'll show you here. You know, even though it was a carry bottle like this one, it wasn't this one, but it was like this one. It had tipped over, and I think you probably all know that what they have is they have a little hole, you know, in the top of them, and all the milk had drained out of the container. Just realized I need to wash this one. So all the milk had drained out of the container, and luckily it was in a cardboard box. Luckily. And then luckily I have leather seats. So most of the milk was absorbed by the cardboard. So I took the cardboard out, obviously, the cardboard box out and let it dry. But it was just like, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Imagine if that had been all over the carpets or something. It would have been horrible. Jeannie, she is pursuing the person that owns the dog. Eh? You probably missed all that information, and it was earlier on. But they're definitely pursuing it, and so are the police, and so are animal control. Oh, interesting. Erin's saying that pain or sickness can drastically affect your blood sugar. Yeah, so I found out. But it was really strange because, you know, I have been busy trying to lower my blood sugar, and suddenly it really lowered, you know, and it was just like, but the problem was that it was yo-yoing, and that struck me as really strange. But I feel I'm a lot better, so that's good. I wanted to make sure that if you've got a birthday or a special day or something coming up this week, please let us know. We're trying to rebuild our database of birthdays and things. And so that would be really nice. I think that we had Alice's birthday this week, for those of you who go back a long way. And it, you know, it's just like, wow, it's amazing, the birthdays, right? All right, Erin, so you got your A1C back, and it was pretty, what? Was it pretty high, pretty low? You know what I was saying about shock triggering pain? You see, Jeannie's saying that from the fire has kicked up her Crohn's disease. She hardly ever takes medicine, but now you're taking medicine frequently. Absolutely understandable, right? Your body, when your body goes into shock, you know, the first thing that happens, Jeannie, that first week, you know, you're living on adrenaline. But after that sort of adrenaline starts to, and that's nature's way of protecting you from the shock, quite honestly. And then after that, all right, you start feeling the real feelings. And it's amazing how your body will let you know that it went through shock as well. Not just your mind, your body did. And, the same thing with Jody, has been suffering with her pain for the last couple of days. And I totally did not surprise me at all, right? And so it's really important after you've had a shock to make sure that you wait for the adrenaline to dissipate, and then don't be surprised if you are in pain or feeling sick or doing whatever, because your body has gone through shock as well. I just could see this and I'm going, where's that list? Yeah, I know. Inside the cupboard door. Cupboard door's open. Wow, interesting. Erin said the people, Erin is in a house with people, and she said, the people in my house need a better menu. We're always given sugar and always given carbs. Some people get mad if we eat off the menu. But the menu is not very good anyway, right? Right. So Jeannie's saying we got food from a restaurant that was good for you. Yes, exactly. So, this is the whole thing. I found as well, being pre-diabetic, it's amazing how difficult it is to eat out. All right. So either you eat out and just enjoy it. I haven't eaten out in a long time, but you either, if I do go to lunch with a friend or something, I just eat whatever and enjoy it. And then I will, sort of compensate for it afterwards. 6.5 is not bad, Erin. Not bad at all. I'm happy to get 6.5. So, but your doctor would like to see you in the 5s, is that right? By the way, that's in the Canadian system, not the American. Jody, what is 6.5 in American? I know you've got a cheat sheet that tells you. I need that today. Let's try and find out. 117. All right. So those of you who understand blood glucose numbers, in American, Jody's, Erin's 6.5. All right. Is 117 in American scale. Now, Erin's saying previously, before I moved it to being consistently 4.3. Now, 4.3 is pretty darn low. But again, with all the issues that you have, Erin, maybe that's where they need it to be, right? I must admit that I have found that I really am beginning to realize that I have changed my eating habits a lot. I was quite surprised yesterday where I had food in the fridge that was meat and a portion of rice with vegetables mixed in with it. And I looked at it and I thought, I'd rather have fruit. And I went, wow, I have changed. It's quite, I'm such a meat eater, or used to be, and it was just like, something, I'd rather have some fruit. And I had maybe a quarter of a cup of the meat, and that was it. And then I had fruit and vegetables afterwards. So amazing. Okay, just so that you know, this tea light has now solidified, right? And it's solid, but it still would be pretty soft. So what I'm going to do is just show you that even now, I've just got to use a bit more pressure. Yeah, even now I can put the hole in it. Got it? And then I can just put the last wick in it. So if you get disturbed by a telephone call or whatever, and also because it is still within an hour of it being done, I'm still manipulating the wax around it just to clean it up around the wick. And then when it's really solid, I will cut off the wicks to the right length. So there you go, pretty easy, right? All right, so Jeannie's saying, I was given a nice gift card to our favorite breakfast brunch restaurant, so I'm taking York there for Father's Day. He says his big gift was that we got out safely. Yeah, absolutely. That was the greatest gift. And also, Jeannie, I have been so impressed on how you have chosen to look at this and realize that this, is a way to restart your life. And this, you will, you don't have to do nearly as much downsizing as most of us because you've got to start again. And it will be really interesting to see the things you don't rebuy. I think that will be the interesting thing. Just tell me, in terms of the insurance, will they continue to give you accommodation, or how does that work? Because I would think that learning to live, I don't think I would want to, as much as I lived in hotels, I don't think I would want to live in a hotel for a year. Right. What I'm thinking is it may pay you, question mark, to literally, have you considered maybe getting a fifth wheel or something that you can rent for 6 months, that you can put on the property and just have your own space where you can have your own meals and so forth? Or are you in a suite rather than just a hotel room? Because quite honestly, I could take a fifth wheel and live in it far more comfortably than I could a hotel room. There's something about the difference about being on your own land, that is different somehow. And I wonder what the rest of the viewers would do. If you ended up where your house burnt down, would you rather live in a hotel for a year? I mean, it's going to take a year, I would think, Jeannie, right? To by the time because you got winter coming as well, so then they're probably going to want to get that flattened and get the frame up before the winter hits, so that they can work inside during the winter. All right, so Jeannie's saying, everybody has suggested an RV, but I'm not keen on seeing my burned out place. It'll take a year. That's what I thought as well. How about this, Jeannie? Have you thought about getting an RV and maybe staying at an RV park for a year? Or if you're quite happy where you are. Right. Jodie's saying she would definitely need a hotel because of her wheelchair. Absolutely. Yeah. Totally get that. Good to see you, Rinsky. Absolutely see that, Jodie, that there's no maybe for you. But again, there's part of me that goes with I don't know what the housing situation is around your area, but maybe you could rent a house for a year and it would be cheaper for the insurance company. I don't know. I think there are different ways to go about it. And so I just think that you get pretty claustrophobic in a hotel room. Do you have cooking facilities and a separate lounge area where you are? Okay, she's answered that already. Here we go. We're currently in a suite with a full refrigerator, freezer, two-burner stove, a living room and bedroom. There you go. You see, you've got your own little area. Yeah. Sam saying she'd probably rent a house. Yeah. It's just like there are lots of different options. And I'm glad to hear you're not just in one room. That's what scared me because mentally that would be very difficult. Yeah. Rinsky is saying that one good thing about having an RV in front of your house, with your house being built, is that you can keep an eye on the house. Yes, also from a security point of view, it's not a bad idea because there's always somebody on the property. But that is their choice. I think once the house has been demolished, it'll be different. Jeannie's saying, interestingly enough, that her dog Misty is still having nightmares. I'm sure. I'm sure you are too. It'll take, but we don't know. What makes you say she's having nightmares? Is she barking in her sleep or twitching in her sleep or doing whatever? You see, because you probably are seeing quite normal dog behavior and seeing it as nightmares. That is the whole thing. Because I want to tell you, it's pretty easy to see. She cries in her sleep, whimpers in her sleep, yeah. And is that what the vet says it is? Yeah. I wonder whether Jody has noticed that with the fluff ball, because I'm pretty sure, the fluff ball went through a pretty major shock as well. I wonder whether she is whimpering in her sleep. Interesting point, Jeannie. And, it's so heartbreaking because there's nothing that you can do except, as you say, to pat her and just gently stroke her like you would a baby. Yeah. You might want to talk to the vet because maybe the vet can recommend what you can do. Interesting, Jody's saying, she's saying the fluff had a nightmare last night, as a matter of fact. Right, and what did that look like or sound like, Jody, that you knew it was a nightmare? The reason I'm asking these things is because, sometimes our dogs can have reactions that are quite normal. Bean Bean, for those of you who remember Bean Bean, Bean Bean would run in his sleep, he would bark in his sleep, and he would wag his tail in his sleep. And it was just like, and he would run in his sleep. It was amazing. It was the fact that he could bark in his sleep that really got me. It was just like, he must have had the most vivid dreams, really. They weren't just he was way into them. Yeah, he'd be running, and the tail would be going. Woof, woof, woof. Oh gosh! So Jody's saying that the fluff ball's nightmare manifested itself a long cry and a howl, and then standing straight up and whimpering. Wow. All right, so again, you probably have a little chat to a vet and see what they recommend, or somebody who knows one. Jeannie is saying that her dog, that's obviously in captivity now in a hotel as well, said she loves the workers in the hotel and she says hello to everyone. Yes, they will become family to her now because she sees them every day. Interesting. So, Jeannie, is all your food and everything covered as well, or how does the insurance cover it? I'm asking just out of, you obviously don't have to answer that, but I think people, like to know, how does insurance cover that? And she's got used to the elevator. Yes, and that's not something a dog goes in very often, right? Poor Dora. Dora is Kerry's dog. Poor Dora's had a health scare. What happened, Kerry? It's amazing. I think most of us feel our dog's ill health much more than we feel our own, right? Because we feel so helpless in so many ways. It's a bit like a baby being sick. You can't ask them where it hurts. You can't. It's difficult. So it'd be interesting to hear what poor Dora's been up to. We'll wait until Kerry can get back to us on that. Jeannie's saying that in terms of insurance covers the replacement of clothes, food we eat, and place to stay, and the replacement of everything. Yes, that's an interesting thing. I must admit, one of the questions I got asked was, did I want to pay for replacement value of everything in my insurance? And I said yes. I'd rather pay that extra and know if anything happens, I can replace everything. And by the way, one of the things that I recommend everybody does on a sort of pretty regular basis, maybe once every year or a couple of years, is take photographs of what your house looks like. Because there's something about what they think is valuable and what you did. So what I did is I went through the house bare bones before I put my furniture with it and took photographs of what it looked like. And then took photographs again after I got my furniture in. Okay, so Jeannie's saying that they've got pretty good insurance. All right, Kerry's saying, going back to blood sugars, boy, we cover a lot of subjects, don't we? And Kerry's saying that 6 or under is ideal for the A1C. Actually, it's interesting, isn't it? My doctor is happy if I'm under 7 for an A1C. Yeah, but maybe that's because of my age. But as long as my A1C stays under 7, I am pre-diabetic, not diabetic. So he's happy for it to be. And I think I was 6 the last time that they took it. So, but I've got a bit of room there. All right, so. All right, so I'm trying to find out. I've missed what Adora's health scare was, or did you choose not to share that? It's okay if you don't want to share it. Just type pass if you don't want to, and I'll stop asking. Erin, I don't know if I can just give you a hug. I am pretty sure that this will be a difficult weekend for you. And I just want you to know that the first year of a loss is always the worst. It's not that it gets a whole lot better, but every year that passes is just that little bit less painful. You still feel the loss, but it's just a little bit less painful. But I think when you come to this first everything, and I've talked to you about this before, Erin, but the first Christmas, the first Father's Day, the first birthday, anniversary, the first whatever anniversary, you are going to feel that more deeply. But I think you will find that as the years go by, that you will be able to see them in a different way. I try not to celebrate the days of passing. The funny thing is, my dear friend Yvonne keeps letting me know when the anniversary of Buddy's passing is. Yeah, I find that interesting. She kept a note of that, and every year she will let me know that it's 5 years since Buddy passed or whatever. And I'm going, I choose not to celebrate the passing. Right? I celebrate the fun. So Carrie's saying, I just lit a candle Mom got for me yesterday. I'm hoping my apartment will smell more homey now. How is living on your own going, Carrie? It's amazing what a candle will do. That's one of the reasons that I love to have. I have a lot of candles. But the other thing that I found, and I know this sounds really strange, you will be amazed how much warmth you can get out of candles. The reason I like to have, I probably have about a dozen big candles, this sort of, we have at least a dozen of these. And I will nearly always have about a couple of dozen tea lights. And the reason I do is because if ever there's a power failure, it's amazing how much warmth you can get out of candles. I found that out a long time ago. It's surprising how much warmth they give out. Jeannie's saying, you must keep all the receipts, plus I have recorded each item in a notebook. Good. And you have to keep really good notes. Yeah. So anyway, I'm sorry to hear that Dora got sick, and you haven't told us why. So, I'm sorry. I just want to say that I am sorry to hear that she got sick. Harry's saying it's cold here today. It was in the 60s compared to the 90s we've been experiencing. Yeah. British Columbia weather down here, up here, I want to tell you, it can't make up its mind. We had rain for a week, and now I think we're beginning to go back to late spring, summer again. All right, so Jeannie, you've done bookkeeping, so keeping track of everything for you is pretty easy, all right? It's something that you do naturally. So my suggestion would be just get a binder and keep, or I don't know about how you do it, Jeannie, but I would get a binder with maybe a dozen envelopes, the big ones, and then punch holes in those, and then put all the receipts into the envelopes and just keep score on the front of the envelope. It's amazing how easy that is. Or if you are a spreadsheet person, keep it all on a spreadsheet and then each month print out for that envelope. It's just like, yeah. The other thing is the the more organized you are, the less likely they are to mess with it. Do you know what I mean? If it's all clipped together and this is all stuff you went on food and it's all clipped together and there's a total on it, and this is all the stuff, that you've added up, everything that has to do with housing, and so forth. And then those stacks are in each envelope. You'll be amazed. They don't mess with it very much if you're that organized. But, there's a lot to be said. A lot of people think that that it's a waste of money on insurance. And I had a friend of mine who never paid insurance, but what he did was he put the same sort of money away every month as though he were paying insurance, but he paid himself. And, it was amazing how much money he accumulated doing that. So, everybody's got their own way, but I'm really glad that you did have, I think when you've got something as valuable as a house, the better you have it insured. One of the questions I always had was, I live on the West Coast, and therefore I'm on the extension of the San Andreas Fault, or I was where I was before. And one of the things that I always queried was, do I insure the value of the house alone or the property? Because what I said is, what happens if there's an earthquake and the whole of the property falls into the chasm? What do they do then? Does anybody know? And I always made sure, because I knew I was on that fault line, and because I can remember when Seattle had their earthquake, I literally watched my house move like this. But I just don't know what they do. If there's an earthquake and your house falls in, your land disappears into the earthquake, what do they do? They have to buy you new land? It'd be interesting to know if anybody knows the answer to that. I'm always asking questions like that. And one of the things, of course, that I've always said is that the value, if you own your land, the value is in the land, not in the house, right? It's amazing. And now I'm in a house where I don't own the land, right? and so it's really different. Oh, I didn't know that. Kerry's saying poor Dora is diabetic and has been on an antibiotic for tick bite. Gosh, tick bite's not fun. Dora's on insulin now to control her blood glucose. Thankfully, she's starting to get back to her usual self. Have you had to put her on a diet at all, Kerry? I just wondered about that because, she is an older dog now, right? And like me, right? Do you have to adjust her diet the way that you do with humans? In other words, do you have to buy special food for her now? And the reason I ask that is because that's inclined to get very expensive. And I wonder how you're coping with that. But she's staying with your mom now, right? She's not with you anymore. I'm just delighted to see you come back and give us an update. So for those of you who don't know, Kerry moved into her own place. Kerry, is this the first time you've lived on your own? I can't remember. I'm trying to think back. I think for as long as I've known you, which is some years now, you've always lived with somebody. So I just wondered whether this is the first time that you've lived on your own. Because I would imagine that is very different for you, all right? You've always, let me wait and see if that is true, because that's an interesting one. Have any of you got memories of when you first lived on your own, not with a roommate, not with a husband or a partner of any sort, that you literally lived on your own? Because I find, that's very different. Yeah, Erin's saying, Dora on a diet, she'd never survive. She may need to be on a diet to survive, yeah. Right, so Kerry's saying she's coping well with the diet. Erin, amazingly well, yes. One of the things that I was taught by a really good dog trainer, Kerry, very early on in my life, is that we totally overfeed our dogs, most of us. And one of the things that he taught me was how little food a dog actually needs. Most of us totally not only feed them on a regular basis, but unfortunately, we give them people treats and all sorts of stuff over and above, and we think that's love, when in fact it isn't. If you've got a dog that is overweight, that is on you, not on them. And it's the same thing, is a dog will eat what you put in front of it. And so, be very aware. Right, Jodie's saying the first time she lived on her own was like when she was 20. It was a slap in the face. Yeah. Okay, so Jeannie's saying we don't care much for bag breakfast, so we went to the grocery store. Yeah, I think that's the whole thing. You can do the best of both worlds, right? So your hotel gives you a bag breakfast? Right, and Jeannie's saying that Misty eats a special food prescription. Because of why? Jeannie, what is it that Misty suffers from, that she needs prescription food? And Jodie's saying, we don't overfeed Teddy. He's 11.5 pounds. That's a couple of bags of sugar, people. And thankfully at a healthy weight for age 3. Well done, Jodie. Keep it that way. Right? Keep it that way. That is, when I talk to vets, and it really surprises me, I've had some pretty big dogs in my time. And one thing the vets always say to me, wow, look at your dog's coat and look how healthy he is. You don't overfeed him. And I go, yep. So again, you can feed more if you're going to exercise them a whole lot. If you're not exercising them a whole lot, you need to cut down on the food. It's like a human, right? I always say that the reason I'm obese, but heading towards overweight, the reason I'm obese is because I don't do enough exercise and I put too much food in my mouth. Therefore, it's quite simple. If I want to become overweight, not obese, I need to either do more exercise or reduce the amount of food going into my mouth. It's not rocket science, is it? And the food that I put in needs to be healthier. And, that to me is like, it is just that simple, but so difficult. Wow. Jeannie's saying her dog Misty, it's a Wheaton Terrier, by the way. Misty has a disease that means she often lacks protein. She was almost dying and her liver was failing until we found out why. She takes pills 3 times a week. Wow. Isn't that interesting? Jody's saying that they actually weigh their little dog, Taylor, once a month. He does, they do a weigh-in. I think that's great, just to make sure you're not giving too many treats. Yeah, the other thing is to give treats that are okay, all right? Like 1 coin of a carrot is a treat to a dog. But, it's not going to put weight on them. It's fiber. So that is the trick, is to find treats that that your dogs enjoy. I think that's a great idea, that you actually... Do any of you do that as well? Do any of you weigh your dogs on a regular basis? I used to obviously always weigh my dog when I went to the vet with my dog. Yeah, Jeannie's saying that Misty loves carrots and apples. Yes, so once you find out what they enjoy, it's easy to give them healthy treats rather than ones that are full of sodium and nasty stuff. It's interesting. I kept thinking, watching what Benji and Judy did with the children. Their big treat was to have green juice, and they loved it. And they still do, right? To them, drinking green juice is a treat. Yeah, okay, so Kerry is now just telling us about Dora. She's diabetic and has an infection, a tick infection. Bilharzia is an interesting disease that my dogs used to get in Africa. But also, tick bite fever was very prevalent there as well, as you can imagine. Okay, so Erin's saying her sugar is a bit high, but she's lost weight this month. Okay, so here we go. We're all on that that thing. And by the way, Erin, that's what I was saying, that just to try and put a few more steps in now. I know you can't do that. So you can't exercise your way down very much. All right. But what you can do is you can change your eating. And so now that you're going to have to talk to your caregivers and change the diet a bit. That's interesting. I presume they would have to comply with it if it's medically. Yeah. But the main thing is as well, Erin, is to find out what you can eat, right? And that it doesn't spike your sugar too much. That's what I'm playing with all the time. Kerry's saying she's lost about 7 pounds since she's moved. Why, Kerry? What do you think is different? You're spending less time sitting on the couch? And you're enjoying the independence. Yes. That's what I wanted to hear about, which is, what is it like to not have those responsibilities that you had? That you were always caring for other people. What is it like to just care about yourself for a while? I would think it feels very different. And that's why I was asking people what they can remember about the first time they lived on their own. And do I have any viewers here that have never lived on their own? Because, it'll be interesting to hear what Kerry notices, all right? In terms of, I've noticed, for example, being retired is a totally different way of life. It is so weird when you realize that you don't have to go to bed at a certain time because you don't have to get up at a certain time. That is the most weird feeling. Like you're busy binge watching something and you're going, I really ought to go to bed because and you're going, no, not necessarily. And then you're going, yes, but, then I don't get up until 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. And I'm going, who cares? And if my neighbors care, so be it. But, other than that, who cares? You see, it's about, but you're going, oh, but you're wasting half the day. And I'm going, not really, because I'm a night person. So what I do is I spend my afternoons doing, the stuff that needs to be done outside. I go out and do stuff in the garden and do stuff like that. And then I probably spend the next, it doesn't get dark, mind you, until about 9 at the moment. It's going to be different in the winter. I may have to start going to bed earlier in the winter because otherwise I won't see the daylight for more than a couple of hours a day. Not a good thing, right? But but I have found it totally different being retired, and I've actually had to stop and say to myself, it's okay to stop unpacking for a week. Do you know what I mean? I have painted once since I've been here. I've been here a whole season. So it's just like, no, I need to go back to painting some. I just want to get the countdown going for those of you who do that. Thanks for the reminder, Jody. And a big round of applause for Jody for all that she does to help us. And for those of you who don't know, we are going to be doing the funnies tonight, courtesy of Jody. The Friday funnies, our smile time, are always put together now by Jody. So we really appreciate that. All right, so I believe that Easter is 9 months and 18 days away. Wow, that's not very far, is it? Hang on, let me see what people are saying here. Jeannie's saying, I left home at 19 years of age with 26 cents in my pocket and no waitress uniform. My parents disliked my boyfriend. Yeah, I think a lot of us can relate to that. Erin's saying, I've been talking to them the whole time. This will be the people where she lives. I've been here because I knew the food wasn't great. The nurse agrees with me. But he has to get his bosses to agree as well. Okay. They need to give you a nutritionally balanced food. That's, if you're paying them to feed you, that's a given, I would think. And then Erin said, if I have to, I'll go to the bigger bosses and sure that once my doctor gets through the results, she will send me to a nutritionist or something. Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. Now, they probably will try and charge you more for a special diet. So be careful of that. Valentine's Day is 7 months, actually just under 8 months away. Christmas, only 188 days. Are those days slipping by pretty quickly, people? And we need to get our cards into the mail. Just 5 months and 15 days if they're overseas cards. That's less than 6 months away, people. American Thanksgiving is 5 months and 10 days away. And the Canadian one, because we have ours in October, is just 3 months and 25 days away. Isn't that scary? The US, you have 26 days to complete your taxes. The interesting thing to me is that summer is just 18 days away. When is the longest day of the year? 21st? Is that the longest day normally? I always think to me, it's a sad day because I'm going, from this point onwards, we're heading towards winter. And winter is not my favorite season. Anyway, we're 18 days away. If we're north of the equator, if you're south of the equator, you're 18 days away from winter. No. Yes. If we're 18 days from summer, you're 18 days from winter, right? Wow. Is that correct? Let me have a look at that. Daylight savings time. Nah. I've got to change that, Jody. Can you make a note? I need to change the daylight when the clocks fall back. I need to get that in there. And if anything funny is happening at the moment, by the way, I just wanted to let you know that Lauren also had a big scare this week. I just want to, for those of you who know Lauren, she had a really big scare this week, this past week. And, you know, it's like I said to her, be aware that Mercury is now in retrograde and it stays there until July something, I think. And so, you know, just understand when Mercury is in retrograde, funny things happen. Interesting. Erin's saying that she didn't need to lose weight, but she's lost 6 pounds this month and weighs a whopping 92. Wow. As a matter of interest, why do you think you've lost the weight? Oh, that's good. Kerry's saying that Dora can stay on her regular dog food because she's back in the normal range for her diabetes. Okay, that's awesome. So she's not getting as many treats and things that she's not meant to have. I'm pleased to hear that. By the way, who's walking her now? Is your mom doing that? Or do you go and walk her? I mean, I just wonder how you do that. And by the way, scary as it may seem, I have now lived in this house for 5 months. That's nearly half a year. And one of the things I'm struggling with, as I was alluding to just now, is that I haven't finished unpacking. And so some of you will just go, you know, got the rest of their life to unpack, so yeah. But you know, you get to the point where you don't. All right, my battery is about to run out on my earbuds, but that's fine because we're about to stop. So, you know, I just, you know, you get fed up with looking at boxes. So every now and then I empty another one. But I'm just slowing it down now and just doing what I can. And I'm not worried too much. I'm starting to cover up the boxes rather than look at them. You know, I'm trying to get them into sort of areas so they look like they're part of the furniture rather than just unpacked boxes. Kerry's saying, this is my first time living by myself. Yeah, that's what I thought, Kerry. And she said, I'm liking it, to be honest. Yes. It is amazing how different it is to live by yourself. And I've always said that if you have, you know, if your mental health is good, you can really enjoy living by yourself as well. Jeannie's saying, thanks for the broadcast. I appreciate them a lot. It's a pleasure, Jeannie. I am glad that in this time of disaster for you, that you still enjoy the broadcast. To me, that is, you know, very special. And it's amazing that, you know, when I'm thinking about, okay, fine, what shall I do for the next broadcast? I just am amazed how many things come up, and I realize that, you know, I've got a lot of things that I do that I'd love to share with you. Like I'm hoping that the tea light thing was of interest to you and that you can see that it is very doable. And just as I said, you know, it's going to make a mess. So don't, you know, so be prepared to do it maybe once or twice a year. And what I will do is I will just, you know, I will just keep using my tea lights and everything. If you heard a change of volume, my earbuds didn't give me much warning of that, did it? So we'll recharge them now, ready for this evening. But you know, it's like I just keep making as many as I want to, and then you know that lasts me for the year. Because every year I will have old candles, right? right, so Carrie is saying, just want to make sure you guys can still hear me. Hang on a second. Yep, it did automatically. I just want to make sure that it automatically switched over. Carrie is saying that she still sees her mom and the pets every day, and Dora's getting used to the shots, even though she believes I'm the meanest mommy ever for giving her those injections. You know, we imagine those things, right? It's not true necessarily. But, you know, it's so sad that we can't actually tell them that it's making them better. So I understand that it's very difficult for us to have to do things like that. I can just remember it all from when I had been. So I'm glad that you still get to see the pets every day. And I think you'll find that, you know, you will learn a lot from living on your own, Kerry, and it'll be a good gauge of your mental health. Right? To be able to live on your own is a very good thing to be able to do. All right. And to be able to do what you want to do, not what somebody else wants you to do. To be able to eat when you want to eat, not when everybody else wants you to eat. But the question is, will you look after yourself well? And that is the mental health aspect, because a lot of people, you know, end up not eating regular meals or not doing certain things well. If you find, one of the things that I always believe, Kerry, is watch out for how many times you shower, you know, those sort of things. How often are you doing the laundry? Those basic things. If that starts to slip, then you know you need to, you know, to be aware of that. So, and the thing is, you haven't got somebody else watching it now. Right? Now you're responsible. Now you're accountable. Now you're an adult, right? It's not going to happen. And of course, when the bills start coming in, you find out that things have changed as well. But I wish you lots of luck. I never regretted moving out on my own. And I must admit, I really don't know what I'd do if somebody wanted to share their life with me. You know, I have these peculiar habits now that I've managed to get because I do live on my own, and I want to stay that way. So I want to thank you all for being here, and I hope that you enjoyed the moment of learning the skill. It's just, tea lights aren't expensive necessarily, but it's about, hey, you know, if it saves you $5, what will you spend the $5 on now that you don't have to spend it on tea lights, right? And that's the way that I look at it. It gives me money to spend elsewhere. I'm now going to eat the baby bill. I haven't eaten yet today. This is DearMamaSal saying, thank you for being here. Look after one another, but please, 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 most of all, please look after yourselves. And Jody, thanks for all that you do. We'll see you all tonight for the smile time. And until then, have fun. Do what you need to do. Keep taking one step at a time, whatever it is you're dealing with. Bye-bye for now.